Hello and welcome in to Polished. My name is Jenlyn UNBN. For those that do not know me, I am a multi-passionate founder of Uniqua New Beauty Norm, interchangeable for New Business Norm, because that is my mission, is to make a better world, a different world where business is human to human, where it puts us in the driver's seat of our destinies, what it is that we want out of life, how we want to serve, finding those ways to serve and doing so together without drip systems, without keeping information from either, right? Being able to do that in an open system. That's my dream. That's my mission. That's why I'm here. I love every single one of you, and I'm so glad that you're all here today. And I'm so excited because I have this wonderful guest today, and her name is Martie Smith. And she is also, I would say, a multi-passionate. She's a resilient ambassador. She is an author. She has a lot of things that she's got behind her back. And more than anything, she has so much wisdom to bring to the stage. So I'm really excited to bring her up in just a minute. But before I do, I want to talk about a few of those that you see in my intro. And so these are companies, non-for-profits that are very important to me. One of them is Pennies for Pads, right? Meeting the needs of young women and girls in India for menstrual poverty. So please reach out to me and see how you can help me support this lovely, wonderful outreach. The second is Transformation Kitchen, right? And Chasing Forehand, the nonprofit that's helping support people be able to eat, but not only just eat, but have a choice in what they're eating, and dignified dining, being able to bring people in and educate, lift them up, give them a working wage that's livable, something that they're working for all the time. The other that you saw is Kudos Miracles, and you're going to start seeing a lot of Kudos Miracles, even more than what you have around, because they are expanding, right? And I'm part of expansion. So I'm really excited to announce today that I'm part of that expansion. So that's all I'm going to say about that for now. Just know that you're going to be seeing that. Also, reach out to me, reach out to one of them, see how you can get involved with this great, wonderful mission that's on a mission really to solve some of the world's most systemic issues in the most humanistic, heart-centered, human-to-human way. Okay, that's enough about that. I'm so excited. I can't hardly wait. I'm going to bring her up right now so she can tell you all about herself. Put your hands together. I want to see some applause, some claps. I want to see some loves in those comments for Miss Martie Smith. Welcome in, Martie. How are you today?
Jen, I'm so blessed to be here and just excited to share this across the globe because it's something I've held in me for so many years, for 6 decades. I didn't know how to express what I'm now doing, and it changed me, it transformed me, it made me something I never expected to be. And at the same time, I want to let everyone know that I was not the only one that can do that. Everyone can do it when they focus on their very passion and purpose and mission. I'm an Air Force veteran, been married 42 years, originally from Colombia, South America, moved 49 times in my lifetime, so I dubbed myself international and very adaptable. I enjoy all kinds of things. I've been a mechanic. I've worked in a nuclear power plant. I'm mechanic on the Air Force on airplanes. I remodeled my own house as a carpenter, certified carpenter, worked a instrumentation fitter job. I've been a radiation therapist treating cancer patients. And why am I a Jackie of all trades, mistress of none? Got hurt many times, numerous times, and I've had 27 surgeries, which didn't end with just the surgeries. I became bionic, so now I charge myself like a phone. I guess I can call myself part robotic because I do have hardware, I do have electronics in me, but at the same time, I feel like I was just getting readied for being a warrior and overcoming so many things by the grace of God. So anyway, that's a little bit of me, but there's a whole lot more.
Mhm. Yeah, I love it so much. I missed somewhere along the line. I love that you remodeled your own house. I personally grew up my dad was mm, he was a jack of all trades, right? But mostly he did remodeling, and so I kind of grew up doing that with him. And so I know how to, tape in bed, and I know how to paint, and I know how to lay in a floating floor. And I can do cabinetry and all the kind of stuff too. So I didn't know we had that in common. So I love that. I think it's really amazing how much we really do learn in our lives, and I love that you've come to this place that you get to pull all of that in together and share in this really beautiful way that is expansive without it being confusing, right?
Right.
And transformative in the sense that you can speak to so many things. It's human, right? All of our journeys are um, just filled with so many twists and turns. And I love diving deep down into that because once we come to this place where it all really comes together, like you were talking about, that you had this moment 6 decades in, that you're like, oh wow, this was the thing, this is it? Because I did not see this coming, right? And
That's
you just
it. And
and
your
so I love
show
it. So
your show polished is me. I was rock, I was rough, I was hardened by life's tragedies and traumas. I was told I was a mistake when I was younger, by my mom, 7 years old. So that,
mhm,
back then it was horrifying for me as a kid, but I think deep down inside,
yeah,
subconsciously, I had planted a seed of not ever giving up, of proving to myself I was worth something. Maybe not the world, maybe not my parents, but me. I had to find value in me. So my saving
yeah,
grace with all that was learning. I always
mhm,
wanted to learn. I always wanted to adapt to wherever they threw me at, and I didn't end up being quite a good bounce backer for for everything that they threw me in. But it's amazing when you see and you look back at everything you have accomplished instead of everything you've suffered, and you realize the blessings that you received, the lessons, the everything, the opportunities missed, and at the same time, the ones that set you in the right pace to be where you're at. So it's cool.
yeah. So I wanna just ask, what was it? What was that moment that you did really kind of have that ability to see all that and to kind of put it all together? Was it a singular moment that you had this like really great epiphany? Or was it, like a 6 month period of epiphanies uncovering, right? Um,
It happened
where
during the
you are
pandemic.
for right here, right now in this part of your
The pandemic came and I was overweight and I wanted to lose weight. If I couldn't go out anywhere, do anything, I was gonna focus on my health, and I lost 70 pounds, 70 inches. It didn't stop there. I
Mm,
became a personal trainer. And at 62, it's mind-blowing
yeah.
to be a personal trainer. Why? Because of all the surgeries and everything. I was in a wheelchair, so I was very debilitated, and the only
Mhm.
dream I ever thought of, if I could, have a motorized wheelchair that would take me cross country up the mountains on the sides of the cliff. I didn't care. I wanted to be outside, outdoors, and engaged in nature. But
Yeah.
all that adaptability, all those things that I finally realized when I wrote the book, The Resilience Nourishes the Soul. I went on a little book camp on the weekend, and it's like, I want to write a book. I'm not going to watch the news and watch everybody die during this worst ever a pandemic and I want to be productive. I'm a workaholic and I always wanted to stay busy and not focused on all the
Mhm.
bad stuff. So I wrote my title, Resilience Nourishes the Soul, because why? I was feeding my body now properly. I changed my mindset and now I needed mind, body, and soul. So I was like, resilience nourishes the soul. And that resilience was discovered. And I had a choice. I could make a horror movie and it would have been wonderful, but I didn't want to add insult to the injury that was already happening in the world. I felt the call of God and saying, okay, what have you gained from everything you've been through? And I started looking back at my past and I said, okay, not everybody gets to move 49 times in their lifetime. Not everybody gets to learn 3 languages. Not everybody gets to adapt to
Mhm.
humanity and understand that even though you don't speak the same language, even though you don't look the same, we all have the same wants and needs. And to me, that built empathy, that built
Yeah.
compassion, that built driving
Mhm.
force to leave a legacy of hope for the world, because I knew that if I had come out of all that hell that I'd been, that I could be resilient and I could teach others to look back and say, maybe it wasn't that way. Maybe my mind corrupted the actuality of what happened, but we don't notice that when we're faced with adversity. We don't see the big picture.
Mhm.
I learned like a photographer to switch the perspective, change the angles and say, okay, maybe it's not this way, it's that way. Go around it, find an option, find a solution. There's tons of solutions. You just not focused because you're hurting. So I think that was the biggest shift
Yeah.
that I had in my life, and it's been incredible. It's miraculous. It's everything good that I never experienced for such a long period of time. So for the last 3 years, I've been in like a little kid in a candy store, enjoying sharing my life story because it's well worth sharing for people to see that maybe my broken nail isn't a big deal compared to the rest of the world, and just put everything in balance and perspective to take a look at what's holding you, what's keeping you from achieving things. So I'm learning a lot, learning quite a bit.
Yeah. It's amazing, isn't it, when, there had to be throughout your life those times where you had those moments of clarity clicking in, right? That I actually get something out of this other than the hurt or the pain. But sometimes it takes us a little while to be able to learn how to pull ourselves, and it's the reality, right? But reality is full of weeds and it really can suck you down in it. And I love that you talked about, not everybody's had the opportunity to learn other languages and see other places and move. I moved a ton myself, this little bitty town 13 times in one school year, in a town with 300 people, not a single stop sign, not a red light, anything. I kept
Right.
my belongings in a box because there was no point in unpacking them. But I also went through that time period where I didn't I took very good care about what it was that I was bringing in.
Mm.
Was it worth having to pack and move? Was it something that was really gonna bring me value, something that was really, really important or not, because of that? And um, so there are these little pieces along the way, and I know that you've shared tons of those little golden nuggets. And I just want to read a little bit of your accolades because, in my personal opinion, we all deserve our accolades and our achievements deserve to be applauded. So I want to share just with the audience just a little bit about some of your accolades. So you are an top resilience ambassador, an international association of top professionals. You have a Woman of Heart award for your compassionate leadership and empowerment. You've been the recipient or you've been on Every Woman TV, Story of Global Impact, recognized for your global influence and resilience work. You are a best-selling author with recognition for your book Creative Chaos Warrior. You are an inspirational leadership award for mentoring and community impact. You have an outstanding achievement in personal development education for innovative courses and workshops. A community excellence award for empowering youth and building resilience.
Unbelievable.
Thank you.
Who did that? Who did that? I still, it's not imposter syndrome. It's just disbelief that someone as depressed, as debilitated that I had gotten to, that I could come out of and rise above like a phoenix rising out of the ashes for sure. And something lit me on fire and I can't stop. And I want everyone to come along and transform themselves with me. It's not just about me getting to the summit. No, it's about everyone
No.
helping and lifting each other up to achieve things that you don't even know you're capable. I noticed that there was such a thing as a toxic environment. I just thought you're dealt the cards you're dealt with the family you grew up with. But now that I've grown up and seen reality, there is that reciprocity or reciprocity, however you say that if
Sure.
you engage with
Yeah.
people that are getting ahead, that are ambitious, that are focused on their dreams, that help other people along the way. They took me under my wing, under their wing, and now I'm taking people under my wing because it's a pay it forward. It's about giving the goodness
Yeah.
back to the world so that we could get bigger and better at goodness instead of everything else that we seem to focus on. So it's the coolest thing in the world. I recommend it
Yeah.
for everyone. Not everyone is capable of doing it because they don't know how. If you don't know how, I can get you started.
Yeah. And I love that because it's such an important thing to point out, right? We all have the capability. You have the capability. So if resilience happens to not be your a strength for you, it's like any muscle. It can be learned, it can be exercised, it can be sculpted, it can be drawn out, it can be pulled in, it can be blasted, it can be covered in glitter, it can be covered in tar and feathers, right? Um, Resilience is just this beautiful strength that you do have. And I would argue, and I'm sure probably that Marty you would too, that not only do you have it, it is beyond developed. It's just you don't realize it,
Well, yeah, I say
right?
now that I've looked at it for a while, kind of just soaking into the good things that I've discovered about myself. Is like, all right, so you have toughed it out. You are a tough cookie. Why'd you think? Why did you believe? It's like it undoes all these limiting beliefs that I had clogged my clarity. I didn't have clarity, so I didn't dare
Mhm.
to dream. I couldn't see where I could dream.
Yeah.
So when I started ditching all those limiting beliefs, when I started believing in myself, when I started loving myself, which to me at first it was like, oh, no, I don't, that well, I'm not, it's not all about me or arrogance. No, it's about valuing that we are
Right.
special, each and every one of us. So it's like you
Yeah.
transform the way you think and you start discovering so much more than you realize. It's just like, why didn't someone tell me? Why didn't I see it? But it's all in God's timing. It's all when you've gone through hell and you've come out of it that you can see the difference, the balance, the transformation. But we're meant to face ups and downs. And I guess most of us would love to
Yeah.
avoid the hard part, but
Absolutely.
but that's what tempers us into being more sound of mind, body, and soul because we make the proper decisions. We are
Yes.
informed with everything that we need to move to the next step. And I say all the baby steps I took along the way would get me a little
Mhm.
further down the line, but it never got me on a pattern, on a bridge, on a road that I was like, okay, I'm
Yeah.
going to the next stop. I'm going to here. So it's wild. It's wild, and I wish I could put it all in a huge production, a movie, because I've had many adventures, and it is cool that that I can have that variety and talk about so many things, because I do connect with all ages, especially young people. And when I was a
Mhm.
teenager, I'd look at a 65-year-old and go, "Oh God." And it's not because I'm 65. I didn't even care about the older people. I didn't care about the younger people. I just cared about me.
Yeah,
Now, but caring and loving are two
yeah,
different things. And so now I appreciate everything that I've
yes.
been through. So that's the that's the
Yeah.
click.
And appreciation and appreciate yes, and appreciation and gratitude are 2 different things. I was talking about this not too long ago because we, especially with, mindful practice and awareness and, a prayer life, whatever it may be along self-development, right? We practice gratitude.
Mhm.
Sometimes when we practice things, we actually become disconnected with them. And it becomes like an automatic little thing that, yes, we're flexing our muscle, but appreciation. Appreciation is that deep rooted thanksgiving
I think,
that you
yeah,
can't,
it's connected to
lose
the
once you
soul.
reach.
Mhm. It's
It
connected
is.
to the
And once you
soul.
when you really appreciate it is, and you don't forget it, right? You don't
No.
forget the thing that you're appreciative of. And I love that you mentioned, that we are all special. And I think that we are. And I think the hardest thing for each of us is to get through all of the mindset shifts and the deprogramming, if you will, that we are not to see ourselves that way because we cannot ignite. We cannot turn our spark into a flame, into a rocket ship that is just fueling us forward if we cannot see and accept the beauty and the uniqueness in ourselves. That's what allows us to be able to begin to see that maybe, just maybe, I might have a purpose here. I might have
A mission.
something that I
Yeah.
can actually do, right? A mission that I
Mhm.
can carry out, that maybe I can step out and I can share my story. Maybe I can actually shine. You said, why didn't anybody tell me? And I remember definitely asking that question too. And I think that collectively as a human as humanity didn't know.
No.
Your mother didn't know, and
No.
your father didn't know, right? Um, and we can go back, and I can definitely have the same with my parents, right? My family, my brothers, my aunts, my uncles, right? I can look across society and see you don't
Mhm.
know what you don't know until you do. How do
Yeah.
you support others, in kind of quickening that process or kinda unburying that a little bit, to be able to so that they can be able to connect to that truth
And
about themselves?
and it's probably the hardest for most of us to do because we're so busy with the everyday life, but it's introspection. It's
Mm,
stopping and
mm,
taking a look at yourself, taking inventory of everything that you've accomplished,
yes.
everything that you failed at, everything. And it takes journaling. It takes sitting down and writing 10. This was what triggered all of what I'm telling the world now is I had to sit down and write 10 adjectives to describe me way. That was like, I'm no good at any. I had already assumed the inventory as you failed radiation therapy, you were an Air Force mechanic, you were no longer in the service, you tried so many things, you don't why bother trying anymore. That's why I became depressed. But that's where I should have said, wait a minute. I didn't get to finish everything I started, but there was a purpose. There was a chunk of reason why you didn't stay there. There was something better. There was something more that would evolve into all that chain of tools, all that chain of events that you lived, that now is your experience, that you don't have to practice. You don't have to study. You don't have to go to school. You lived it. You know it. Share it with someone that understands it. The point now that is the coolest thing, the best part about all this is not only do I want to talk to adults, I want to talk to the kids that still have that innocence, the kids that still have that fresh idea that life is good, that everything is probable, it's possible. I have all this potential. So if they go with that armor of attitude that I can do anything, imagine the chefs they're going to be of cooking recipes of resilience and tolerance and everything good, because it's a combination of all. I'm even writing a cookbook on the very recipe of everything we need in life to sustain ourselves during adversity, because we don't know how. We figure we can cuss, moan, bitch, moan, and complain, but that's just enhancing the pain that you're suffering, instead of going, okay, I'm going through all this. Wait a minute. What can I control? What can I change? What can I actually plan to find a solution for? And when you sort the pieces out, then you know. And going back to the moving all the time, I kind of made an analogy of the boxes. Like I put everything in a box. And the more I moved, the more I hated moving, because I was carrying so much stuff and I couldn't take order, like make order of anything. It was always chaos. I hated boxes. And to this day, if Amazon comes to the house, I don't want to open the box. It's like, no, make me open the box. And they might be the best thing in the world in the box, but it's, you just can't, certain things you just can't undo. You just work around them. So it's very possible that we don't realize what we're missing. And if I bring it to the kids, they'll know how to look out for it a little better. At least that's my hope to leave behind. So
I love it. I also love kids, like Gen Alpha, Gen Beta, which my newborn grandson, we're 5 months old now, right? He's Beta, and I'm glam to also Gen 3 Gen Alphas. And so even before that, though, I also too very much want them to be equipped with the tools that I didn't have, and that their parents may still be lacking, right? Because not everyone still has learned, right? And or understood that they have resilience to offer, and that they have a mission and a gift, and that they have a special thing inside of them. And I love practicing that myself. I have bubbles on my desk and I blow them all the time. Before I'm looking at a problem, I take a few minutes and I take a few breaths, and I have this part of myself. And her name is like Des, and my name is Jen Jen. And really I'm about 4 probably, but I'm really good at solving problems in like the ways that nobody would ever think of. Like, if you got a hole in your box, put some bubble gum on it. It works. Nothing's coming out of that box. Do you know how hard bubble gum gets?
Right. That's it. And that's the beauty. That's the beauty of rehealing your inner child, because you get creative. And I promise you, I never thought I'd write past the first book. I'm on my 10th book. It's some are anthologies, some are self
No.
published, but it's like you start pouring out your heart. It's like that. It creates that momentum of
Yes.
creativity, and you don't want to stop. And you have a conversation with someone, and then all of a sudden, boom! Oh my God, that's a whole book. Because we don't express the importance of what we
Yeah.
engage in a small activity on a daily basis. And now I'm gathering all that treasure that is given to us when we exchange with someone else. We get a treasure. We don't value it because we see it as I'm going to run into someone else and they're going to give me their little chunk of whatever. But no, if we treasure the moment that we encounter with people, I think
Yes.
we'd have more benefits to add up for everything that we've lived, because even if the people aren't the favorite, even
Yes.
if they are a pain, you've learned something, or you're reflecting something that you may have recognized in you that you never did. So you become more honest with yourself. It's like, no one's perfect. No
Yes.
one can do everything just right. There's generational curses that have come along that have added insult to the injury as well. So it's like, wait a minute, what did I do to make it all go away? Why can't I see? So it's the coolest thing in the world when you look at yourself and you get humbled, because you're all of a sudden like, oh guys, okay,
Yes.
who am I to judge anyone else when I'm looking at the biggest mess of me? And so it shuts you out of
Mhm.
that complaining and oh, look at that. And the worst thing, I think the worst thing, and I learned this, was comparing myself to everyone. The only competition I have is with myself. I want to be better the next day. And if the next day didn't quite do it, I want to learn how to be even better the day after. But always shoot to be the better version. Always shoot to be the most that you can be, because you haven't dug out all that treasure out of you. And it's time for us to share that. That's where the world needs to go. Start digging out of us. Don't go find it out there. You're not going to anything that's not going to make you a slave,
No.
that's not going to make you feel like nobody can have this. You become selfish. Instead, find it in you, because nobody can steal it from you. Nobody can take it from you, but you can do so many wonders when you share it.
Absolutely. And I love it. And you're speaking to something, like one of my favorite, you know, um, quotes is Viktor Frankl, right? That there's a moment between stimulus and response that we get to choose. We get to choose our response. We get to choose how we think about it, what it feels like, what we do with it. We're magic workers, right? We're miracle workers, we're magic workers. We are the sword that sharpens another. We are the fire that bakes somebody else's clay. We are the person that shatters the clay that somebody has already built around themselves, right? When we are ourselves and we are fully ourselves, it just automatically does that. Our presence does that for other people. I like to tell, I like, every time, even when you've just passed somebody very, very briefly and you made eye contact with them, I promise you that that person knows you. They remember you. It's a soul connection when you have those moments, when we have those moments and right. And we're so fast paced that we go so much of our lives without realizing that, and that every single moment is something that's sacred, is something that's special. And just our awareness can bring that into the purpose that it was made for. I like to kind of liken it like a video game, right? Where you're running along and you're jumping and you're grabbing the coins, right? It's being at the right place at the right time, in the right state,
That's it.
in your
That's it.
state
It's
of
a balance.
wholeness,
It's
right?
a balance of everything that we have to learn to adjust. And we're the ones that tweak ourselves to to running on automatic pilot in a better way. If we train our muscles to our resilience, if we train our tolerance, if we train our ability to learn from every experience, then we don't see things the same way anymore. We don't worry about much. We more worry about what we didn't do, what we could have done better. But it's so cool. It's like going in on a different journey, but you've had all the passports from every stop along the way in life, and
This
it's amazing.
time. Yes, it is. I love it so much. I mean, we kind of touched on it a little bit, but I want you to tell me just a little bit, right, more about transitioning from the Air Force into civilian life and about, what really inspired you um to do your latest book project that you just had published, because that's something that's really special, and I want to be able to talk about it for sure before we run out of time today. So
So
I'll let you lead those answers in however which way you like.
the Air Force was my biggest ticket. It was like, I could taste independence. I had made a decision on my own. No one was going to stop me. I was of age. I had signed my own contract. And excuse me a second, because I think my power is going to run out on the computer and I want to plug it. Okay, got it. Anyway, so I
Uh-oh.
was all about,
Good job.
all about, all about getting discipline, getting established, finding my independence in everything. So when I went, the recruiters came along the high school, and I was already going, I'm going to move out. I don't care where I go. I had had a 4-year scholarship for art. I was going into the scholarship, but my mom didn't want me. She says, "You're not moving. You're not going anywhere. You're not going to school." It was Fulbright, paid full. And I was like, "Why?"
Wow.
And she said, "Well, you're not gonna leave in the house until you get married." I said, "How am I gonna get married if I don't get to go nowhere or meet anyone?"
Yeah.
So, okay, no, that's not happening. But I did it anyway out of just being a rebel. It's like, I'm
Yes.
gonna do this. And so I signed a contract, but then I was like, I'm gonna have a heart attack. How am I gonna tell my parents that I just became property of the US Air Force?
Oh my God. Yes.
Okay. So I kept my little contract and everything, and it was delayed entry program. This was like September, somewhere in there, and I was going to leave in January. Well, I couldn't like maintain myself anymore. I told my parents, I went home and told my parents, we're moving. We're moving. You're not going in the Air Force. You belong to us. And I say, oh, and I became an instant attorney. That's AWOL. It's a federal offense. You're gonna go to jail, and I'm still going, and la 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 la.
Yeah.
But then I was, how am I gonna, now that we moved from New York to Florida, how am I gonna get there? Well, my godmother sent me an airplane ticket. She says, when you start making money, you just pay me back. And I was like, see, God puts those little angels along the way for you not to falter. Even though it was daring, it was risky, and I could have been killed by the action of my decision, it didn't matter. I was like, I did this. And now I see that it was the first bold, best decision I had ever made as a kid. It's like I didn't have to ask anyone, and I felt it in my gut. It was the right thing to do. Go in the Air Force, discipline. Yeah, I could do this. And everybody kept saying, "Ooh, you're gonna hate basic training. It's terrible. This, that, and the other." I said, you go to my house and go to basic training. This is a cakewalk.
Yeah.
And I was the squadron cheerleader. Everybody was always like, why is she smiling all the time? She must be on drugs. Because everybody was
It's
bummed out. And I was like, oh, I'm having a good time.
your drug was freedom, right?
Yeah.
It was
So
freedom.
and that dad had even arranged a marriage before I left so that I
Yeah.
would get married to this guy. And I was like, oh, that ring is nice. I didn't kiss him. I didn't love him. And I said goodbye to him and dad and the taxi came and got me and I left. I was on a major mission to be independent. Well, it didn't last long. I got hurt. And that was my first injury. But then it was like I learned to defend myself
Mhm.
because of all the things that I had already been through. And I
Yeah.
defended myself with an honorable discharge and a senator in Arizona. that senator said they're not going to admit they're wrong, because I signed a 4-year contract to be an environmental control systems mechanic working on the cabin pressurization,
Right.
liquid oxygen, and fire protection of a pilot on A-10s. I wasn't going to do anything but that. Well, when I got hurt, they took me out of the flight line. And back then, the women weren't very popular. I think I was the only woman when I first got there. They took me out of the, and then they wanted me to be barracks manager. And I had to have everything ready for inspection ready. And it was after beer bus and people drunk throwing stuff. I'm like, I didn't sign up for grown babysitting. I want my old job back. And the senator said, well, they're not going to admit they're wrong. They'll retrain you. I said, okay. I want aerial photography. Well, you got to go back to what you were doing. Back on the flight line? No. Back to the barracks. I said, I want out. They gave me the honorable discharge. But all that discipline, all that ability to go past and beyond me doing something non-traditional for a girl, it was like, okay, Martie, you're doing something different. You are unique.
Yes.
That was the part that I kind of stuck with. You're unique. But at the same time, I kept running against the wall. My mom called me and said, your father's dying. You need to come home. And I was like, ugh. And I had already been engaged to another guy for marriage. And he was from Austria. He loved me. He was my main squeeze. And he said, choose between your parents or me. And I was like, oh, no. You can't ask me to do that. How do you erase your family? You can't do that. Yeah. So I went back home to see what dad had peritonitis. No, he was sitting in a pool eating a bucket of Kentucky Fried Chicken. And I hate Kentucky Fried Chicken because of that. And it's like, no, this was a setup. I got, but at the same time, it's like, okay, I'm going to go keep finding work. I had 3 jobs. I was going to school. It's like, no, nothing stops me. So I saw that military training and all that, nothing stops me. If I could defend the country, I could defend myself. So I could shoot a gun. Whatever it took, I could do it. And that's why I went with the non-traditional jobs of every kind. But I enjoyed being my own person. I enjoyed doing something different, that I wasn't a hairdresser, that I wasn't, and I don't have anything against it. It's just that it would remind me of being a girl, and my mom didn't want girls. So it's like, no, it's too frilly for me. I'm going to stick with, and I think in a way, subconsciously, it was like me wanting to be the best tomboy for mom to acknowledge me. But that didn't happen either. So it's all good. I learned my lessons. But the military training was what established that I'm not going to stop. I'm not going to quit. I'm going to find a way. Yeah. But it was still very rusty. And until the pandemic hit, that's when I tied it all back together. But and about the book, which book are you referring to? Because I just published one for the children.
That one, of course. I'm talking about that little spark, which I meant to bring an image to pop up, and I completely forgot because, but I'm going to go back in the comments and share because it's so cute and special and beautiful. I love it so much.
This book was that thing that I said, I'm going to write a children's book one day in January, come right around Christmas. I said, no, not one day. You're going to do this next year. Yeah. So I started putting it together, and I say, okay, I'm going to write right now a simple story explaining resilience. Kids need to learn this. Now it's becoming a series. Now I'm going into the teenage version of the book. And so I'm tying all the generations together to, if the parents are reading this children's book, maybe something will trigger in them. Oh, wow, I never realized it was in me. Because I think the busyness of life keeps us out of that, circuit. And it's just the coolest thing. I've gotten wonderful response from it. And I'm not stopping. I'm not stopping because that is my mission. That is my purpose. That is my passion, to leave that legacy of hope. I wasn't able to have children, so I want to leave something behind that someone can say, wow, this is cool. I should have told my children. I should have told my, my friends or whatever. So I'm tickled purple of everything that's happening to me. I'm grateful for so many followers and so many people that have come up to me and say, wow, wow, wow. And I'm still saying wow. And it's like I'm dreaming. Somebody pinch me. I didn't get to do everything I've done. This is all a dream, but
It
very
is even if it is a dream, it's a beautiful one.
good.
And I think that we get to conduct it. And there's there's two things that you said, or there's one phrase that you said there, but it's very important in two different ways. And that's it's me. There's two sides to that when we're talking about resilience. The one is that you're special, you are a miracle, you have a purpose, you have something, and lots of things really inside of you, you're capable. The other thing is that what you're experiencing in your life and how you're looking at it and how you're experiencing it, that's also you, right? It's me. I'm the one. I'm the one that's the one thing that I can control
Mhm.
in this life. The only thing that I can control in this life is my response
That's it.
to it, right? And
That's
so
it.
it's something that it's so powerful. It is me. Those are three of the most powerful words really in my life also too that empowered me.
Mm.
Those three words didn't push me down. They allowed me to rise to say, wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute. You
Yeah.
mean, right, that um I am the one, right, that's in charge of and that's like making the decision subconsciously or consciously about what I'm experiencing. Holy shit. And I get to change that and then to start down this beautiful road of mindset work, right? Your
Mm.
mindset, your thoughts, your belief systems, your reality is exactly what you're creating it to be. And that's something that's so powerful. And I know that you know that it is.
Yes. Definitely. It's amazing because really and truly we are the ones that have to assume the responsibility of our lives. No one owns us. We are
No,
not property of our
thank
mother,
you
our
for saying
father.
that too. Because I'm like, you're not even the property of the United States. I'm like, ew,
Exactly. We don't
no.
that doesn't define who we are or what we do or what we say or how we act. So
Yeah.
go back and don't blame the rest of the world, because I used to blame everyone
Yeah,
for everything that
absolutely.
bad that happened to me, but really and truly, Marty, what part did you play in it? You were
Yeah.
the major contributor to
Did.
all those
Did.
limiting beliefs and the way you concocted all that in your head that got in the way of you seeing the reality. So if when we assume responsibility, we're a little more
Yeah.
vigilant of what
Yeah.
we add to our life to make it complicated.
And not only that, I don't think it does. I know, in my own experience that it allowed me to truly love and accept and meet other people exactly where they are and really understand. And I really want all of you all to understand in this very moment. You can only love others to the point in which you love yourself.
That's it.
And resilience and curiosity and compassion are keys that hang on the same ring to get you there, to get you to the core of love and acceptance for yourself and for other people. Not just love,
That's it.
but love that's wrapped in empathy, that's wrapped in compassion, that's rose up in joy and gratitude and appreciation, like we were talking about earlier. What's the hardest thing that you've learned to love?
My stubbornness, because oh no, you can't tell me what to do. But now I see, I kind of rearranged it as perseverance. It
Yes.
used to be stubbornness, but it really is perseverance. It's a drive. It's that very thing. And about love, if we don't have it in us, we can't give it to anyone. We can't give what we don't have. That's
Mhm.
why when I started loving myself, it's like, that's why it's pouring out of me. I got to
Yes.
share it. You can't
Yeah.
hold on to it
No.
either. It's not a
No.
secret.
No. When
It's
you hold on to it,
like
when we hold on to anything, it changes. When we hold on to something, even if it's, love that it's held on to turns into resentment, it turns into a lack of understanding, it turns into, it will take all of the different forms that it needs to be able to exit because you cannot hold on to something, right? And so when we hold on to things that are too long, they spoil. When we don't pull something that's ready to be harvested out of the ground in time, it rots, right? Like we have to learn and that there is that time and be able to discern when that is. And I say this all the time because it is so true and it's exactly what you're saying. When we allow ourselves to be all of our muchness, when we allow ourselves to be so filled up with love and passion and excitement and joy for the world and for what it is that we are doing, when you tap into that space, it is inexhaustible. There is no such thing as burnout. There is no such thing as not having enough. There's no such thing as imposter syndrome. There is all of these things that we hear about all the time, especially in the professional world around resilience. They don't exist when you are tapped in to the beautiful essence that is your wholeness.
it. You couldn't have said it better. It's true. It's true. It's just like and that's the thing. We have everything in us.
Yeah.
We just don't see it because of X, Y, and Z that we've lived. But when you remove all that and you discern what it is that's important in your life, when you release all that luggage, when you travel lightly, you work more efficiently, you work more joyfully, you get more creative, and then you go back and look and say, wow, I did that. If I could do that, I could do much better when I put it all together. And you just keep getting it and improving your quality of everything in life. And that's the best, psalm or salve for the soul, for the heart, for the mind. It's just like it's relaxing. It's like, ah, I can do this. I can do this. And we have to air ourselves out. We have to go outside. We have to get that
Absolutely.
oxygen. We have to refresh our mind like a computer has to reset and refresh. So we are machines,
Yes.
but we don't act like machines because we have a heart. We
Yes.
have a heart. And when we let that heart hide, protected because we've been hurt and we don't want to open that rock,
Yeah.
then we start losing our life. We start living less. And that's the part that we need to quit doing, because if we're joyfully living, the limit, there is none.
There is none. And pain is a part of life, but suffering does not have to be. And
Yeah.
there's been suffering. There is suffering, right? There is suffering in this world. There is suffering in our lives. Um, but when we use resilience, right? Rather, when we allow resilience to become us, the suffering leaves, right? Pain happens. That's always going to be a part of life because it is part of, like what you said, it's part of the sharpening process. It's a part of the hardening process. It's a part of the process of resilience. It's how you exercise the muscle of resilience
Hmm.
is through pain largely.
Yes.
But the suffering is something that doesn't have to be a part of it. If in the last 5 minutes, if there's someone in our audience or that listens to this on a replay, or because this is forever etched in across the universe, and somebody hasn't strengthened their resilience or unburied it. And I asked you this earlier, but I want to ask you again. If you have one sentence, one moment to speak to someone that's in a space of suffering right now, what do you have to say?
Who are you? How do you feel about you? Do you love yourself? Are you a quitter? Are you hanging on to someone else's pipe dream? What keeps you joyful? What keeps you grounded? What keeps you going? What makes you wake up every morning and you don't care what happens, you're going to keep doing? When you can answer that question, you'll feel the same way I do, because
Yes.
it's like there is no argument. I have a great life. I've been rich when I was little, but it wasn't about the money. It was about not receiving the acknowledgement that I existed, the acknowledgement that I was a human being contributing something to the world. When I discovered that I could do all that, okay, so I forgive all the people that didn't see it, but
Yeah.
it's all the more reason why I wanna share it with the world so that they can pick it out in others and help them. And it just to hear a word of hope, to trigger that initial baby step that's gonna make your life transform. It's amazing, it's a miracle, and it's God sent. So take it. Take that baby step.
Do
Be
it.
bold, be daring.
Yeah. I think so too. Audacity is my favorite accessory, and that's because it's my essence, right? Um, and I want to say to, if you don't know what makes you happy, if you don't know what brings you that joy, because most of you all know, I didn't know. I had fleeting happiness moments in my life. I did not know what brought me passion. I didn't know what brought me joy. I didn't really know any of those things until I was 40 years old. I served, and I always served from a place of compassion and love. I've always served humanity.
That's it,
But
and
I
I
did not know. I didn't know what brought me happiness or joy. And so I want to say to you is, if you don't know those things, get curious. Get curious about what could bring you joy or happiness. Start experimenting, get innovative, start just looking at everything with curiosity of a child, of how does this work? Why does this work? When does this work? Where does this work? Right? Ask a million questions, just like you did when you were 3. Why? Why? But the secret is
Mhm.
this time, you're not asking the outside world. You're
You're
going to ask
asking me.
yourself. You're going to ask yourself, because the journey is within. The journey is always about going within. So, Martie, I appreciate you so very much, and the beautiful legacy that you are building, and that you are, and that you always, I believe, also have been. I'm thankful and grateful for you. I'm thankful and grateful for anybody and everybody that came across your path to help support you in becoming this beautiful, beautiful soul that you are today. Thank you so much for being my guest. Thank you all out there in the comments. I want to do so Lady Drew and Ollie and Matt and Kinga, and I know we had Caitlin and Gregory and Lady Drew. I think I said your name, but just in case, you deserve it again. And I know we had some more up here: Crystal, Sharon, Sam, I know Supriya, I think. I saw Dr. Anuja. Yes. Thank you all for being here, for being part of the conversation and just holding space while we had this amazing conversation. If you want to be a guest on Polish, reach out to me and let me know. And also, before we leave, really quickly, Kudos Miracles, right, is having a networking event on February 11th. Do you know the time?
It is 12 noon Eastern Standard Time, and that's kind of the only schedule
That's okay.
I think
I was like,
it's 5 hours ahead in England and in other parts of Europe, but check the listing, and I'll put the
yeah,
link on there. But Kudos is another, it's everything I wanted ever to be in a family, and they are looking for their passion, their purpose, and their mission to
yeah,
take and make an impact in the world. And if we all had that idea, much more better in so many respects, and I'm telling what we accomplished. So please join Kudos, go to the event, get a taste of what it's like to be real in this world, to be the miracle you are, and to face reality. We can change the world.
yeah. Yes, we can, and we are. Thank you so much, Marty, for being here. Thank you all again for being present with me. I look forward to seeing you all back here again next week. And next week, I believe, is Miss let me think. I want to make sure. Looking pretty sure that it's Miss Caitlin Laurent that is in the comments. If you all are not connected, get that way. There's no strangers here, and there's no reason for us not to all be connected with one another. So please connect, network. I'll also be sharing the information about the networking event on the 11th. And I'm going to move you down, Marty. And while I say goodbye to everybody, and then I'll be right back back at the studio with you. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you. God bless everyone. Take care. Be safe.
Thank you. Okay, guys. On the 13th, we are having the first runway event of 2025, and what that's going to look like is networking and gamification, but in ways that most of you have not ever experienced before. So I'm inviting you personally today in the next half hour. If you reach out to me, I will send you a free entrance ticket to this event because it's a paid event. For those of you that don't and maybe decide later that you want to, it's just a $20 ticket. That's it. But it is so well worth it. It is beyond imagination because it's out of my imagination. It's beyond my own, right? It's coming right from here, but in the most fun, creative way. I thank you. Have wonderful journey weeks, and we will see you all back here, same time, same place next week with the beautiful Miss Caitlin Laurent. Bye.